Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good. Guys, unbelievable stuff what's going on with this AJ Tyson Fury stuff. I'm absolutely staggered to what's going off. That the way it's playing out publicly, the way it's falling to pieces. I mean, it's embarrassing at this point. We're talking about one of the biggest fights in British boxing history, and they're literally scrolling over, like fighting over, social media. It's so embarrassing. I mean, Tyson Fury at this point is looking like a complete clown. Like, I like Tyson Fury. I think Tyson Fury is such a great fighter, and I think he's probably one of the best British fighters of all time. I mean, yeah. Resume wise, not really, but I mean, in terms of skill and talent and ability and mindset, I think the guy's phenomenal. I think the guy's great for boxing, but right now, Fury's losing a lot of fans. I know a lot of hardcore Fury fans that are actually turning their back on Tyson Fury. And Fury right now is acting really strange. I mean, and so is Warren. Warren's almost like a spokesperson for Fury, and he kind of backs Fury up, which I can understand because Fury, I mean, he knows that Fury's his main guy, so obviously he wants to keep him happy. He wants to be on his side because Fury, I'm pretty sure Fury wouldn't appreciate if Frank says anything against Tyson Fury. But surely Frank Warren must be getting a little irritated at this point that Fury keeps coming out. Although he's today backed Fury and said, well, AJ don't want the fight. And Tyson Fury has now accused AJ of ducking, and he's come out and said today, well, I listened to Frank Warren, and I said, Frank Warren said, give him a couple of more days. But AJ still, he goes, I'm giving you another deadline. It's just becoming absurd. Like, fights don't get signed overnight. I mean, it takes time. Dan Raphael, who's a very, very experienced journalist who's been around boxing for a very long time, said that when you're putting pressure on the other guy, the way Fury is, it's generally because you don't want the fight. It's generally because not he doesn't want the fight, but generally he's basically pressuring AJ into signing something which he can't sign. He could get sued. I mean, if, for example, if there's certain sponsors or certain broadcasters that he's got to appease, right, he could end up getting sued by somebody. So he's got to make sure that everything in the contract makes sense for him. He's in line with his sponsors, in line with his broadcasters, everything that he needs in line. Like, I'm not part of a legal team or part of what goes on in contracts, but it's pretty obvious that people that know what is involved in contracts know that these things take time. I mean, how long did it take to make the Conor Ben Eubank fight? I heard for so long that fight was made, signed, and it kept going back and forth because big fights take long. There's a lot to be sorted out. I mean, broadcasters now, Tyson Fury has said that the broadcasters have got together and they've sorted out the deal, and the split is agreed. A lot of things have been agreed. So then it comes back down to what is AJ thinking about? What are the I don't know. I haven't seen Eddie Hearn's interviews today. I'm gonna have a go and have a look at them. But what is it that from AJ's side that needs ironing out? I mean, they've agreed the split, right? They've agreed everything, but there's agreed. They say Fury saying that the broadcasters have sat and they've agreed. DAZN and BT have agreed to split it. So for me, I'm a little bit confused to what at this point, what does need to be agreed? What is it that needs to be agreed? I'm very confused. All I'm going to say is this. I think this fight needs to happen. I think we as fight fans couldn't care less about what's agreed, what money. We just want to see them fight at this point. And it's getting really frustrating because at this point, we're not getting the fight that we wanted for a very long period of time. So I'm confused to what's going off here. I'm really, really confused. I think it's pretty embarrassing for both of them. And I think the British public are getting sick and tired at this point. I think they're upset. I think they're frustrated with what's going on between Fury and Joshua. It's becoming embarrassing for both of them, really, when you think about it, because what's holding? I don't know what's holding it up, and it's just so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing for both of them, in my opinion. I think Hearn is basically saying it's not going to get signed today. So I don't know what's going off. I don't know what's going off between the two. Hopefully they can get the fight done. as soon as possible. And we get this fight. Tyson Fury is talking about fighting Manuel Charr, which is an absolute embarrassing fight. We're talking about the lineal heavyweight champion. We're talking about a guy that considers he's the greatest heavyweight ever. And he's fighting Manuel Charr. Imagine like Muhammad Ali fighting a Manuel Charr level fighter, or imagine that. I mean, or imagine like Lennox Lewis fighting that. I mean, it's just even imagine AJ, who's come off our last 5 fights, come off 3 defeats. If he'd announced Manuel Charr, people would be upset. Now, we're talking about a guy that's undefeated, that's not lacking confidence, that's not been inactive. I mean, he's fought against Dillian White recently. We're talking that guy fighting Manuel Charr. I mean, it's just not acceptable. And especially when you've gone out and called out AJ and promised us that we're going to get the AJ fight, or come out but the way Fury handles things is he's going to say, well, AJ ducked the fight, which, why is Fury so it feels to me like Fury just wants to get on with it and he wants to announce his opponent. Like, why can't you wait when you know the fight with Joshua is like a massive monster fight? Just wait until they get it sorted and sign the fight. They'll sign, like, Joshua will sign to fight Tyson Fury. He wants that fight. There's no way, in my opinion, Anthony Joshua wouldn't want to fight Tyson Fury. I mean, it's a big payday. Joshua's at the stage of his career where he's probably at a stage where he's got nowhere to go. And he's so, confidence is so low that he could get beat by somebody that's seen as a gatekeeper. You just don't know at this point where Joshua's at. Even though I think Joshua's still a good fighter, could beat most heavyweights, you never know with Joshua at this point because he's so low on confidence, right? We already know this is a guy that struggles mentally and is a fighter that, in my opinion, is a confidence fighter. Right now, his confidence is very low. So, for me, him fighting Tyson Fury he's got a free shot. He's got a free swing. And for me, people expect him to get hammered against Tyson Fury. They expect him to get beat. He's got to go in there and just give it his all. I mean, and who knows if he pulls it off and beats Tyson Fury. I mean, he's back on top of the world. He's the heavyweight champion of the world. He's three-time heavyweight champion. He's got a free swing. In my opinion, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer for him to fight. It's a no-brainer for him to fight Tyson Fury. So I don't see why he wouldn't want to fight Tyson Fury. I think it'd be disastrous for both of them if they finish their careers without this fight. I think it hurts Fury. I think it hurts Fury's legacy because Fury is talking about him being one of the greatest heavyweights. How can you be one of the greatest heavyweights when you haven't even cleaned out his division? I mean, I would say he definitely needs to beat Usyk and Joshua. That's definite. Then I might even like to see him fight Joyce. If Joyce keeps progressing the way he is, I'd like to see that fight. But you can't just beat 2 guys in your era and claim to be the greatest heavyweight. I mean, you look at guys like Muhammad Ali, Lennox Lewis. Look at the names on their resume. Look at the guys that they fought. I mean, you can't just claim to be this great fighter of beating 2 guys. I mean, and one of those guys is unproven. And even Klitschko really fought in a poor era. And he fought against a lot of guys that were not on his level. I mean, a lot of poor heavyweights. I mean, that era of heavyweight when Klitschko was fighting was very poor. I wouldn't say the heavyweight division now is excellent. It's just that they're all around the same level. And there's probably 2 guys that may be head and shoulders above everyone else in Usyk and Fury. And even someone like Fury, for example, I think he's beatable. I think on a given day, I think you can beat Tyson Fury. Usyk is probably the fact he's beatable because of the fact that he is a small heavyweight. So I think if he was to fight enough top contenders, I think someone could do a number on him. Because like I said, Usyk's not a natural heavyweight. Fury, at times, you don't know what you're going to get. He's sometimes great, and then the other times he can look poor. The Wallin fight, an example. Wilde, the third fight, I mean, he got put down in that fight. A couple of times he looked like he was going to get knocked out. So the point is Fury's kind of blows hot and cold at times. He's never lost, and he's managed to pull it out all the time. But for me, he's a fighter. He's so unpredictable. The way he's outside the ring at times, he's like that inside the ring. So for me, if Fury fights enough top contenders, I think he could be beat. And I think if Usyk fights enough top contenders, I think he could be beat just because of the lack of the size of the man. I think Usyk is more consistent than Fury, and I think he's a lot more disciplined, etc. But I think Usyk's size, if he fights enough top heavyweight contenders, I think eventually somebody could get him. Whereas I think Fury, somebody could get him just because he switches off, lack of discipline. I think someone could get him as well. But the problem is Tyson Fury kind of doesn't fight anybody, man. I mean, he fights Wilder, fought Klitschko ages ago. I mean, apart from that, he just fights Manuel Cho, he fights Otto Wallin, he fights guys that really can't beat him. I mean, but if you fight Joshua, if you fight Joe Joyce, if you fight Usyk, if you fight, guys like of that level, decent level fighters come back to back. When Povetkin was in around, when Joshua fought him, if he fought Povetkin, if he fought Andy Ruiz, he doesn't fight those type of level of fighters. He had his trilogy with Wilder. He had a fight with Klitschko, but that's too. I mean, that for me is not significant enough to be considered an all-time great. I mean, 2 wins for me is not significant enough to be considered an all-time great. I think you need at least 5 or 6, 4 or 5, 6 meaningful wins. I mean, against top heavyweights to be considered like an all-time great. Ali, look how many great wins he had. He had Foreman, Foreman, Frazier, Liston. Just those 3 alone are good enough for you to be an all-time great. Then he had Norton, Shavers, Cooper, Ron Lyle. Like, man, you can go on and on with Ali, man. The guy's resume is so thick. It's unbelievable. I mean, he fought Larry Holmes when he was at the end of, right at the end of his career, when Larry Holmes is a top 10 heavyweight of all time as well. Look at that. Ali probably fought 4 top 10 heavyweights of all time in his career. That's how great Muhammad Ali's resume is. I mean, and Fury probably hasn't fought 1. And that's not his fault because he's in an era that probably doesn't have that many great heavyweights. But is Vladimir Klitschko a top 10 heavyweight of all time? Possibly, potentially. I don't think so. I think you could name 10 heavyweights better than Klitschko, or that would have beaten Klitschko, prime for prime, in my opinion. But leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'd love to know your opinion about this. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.